Everything you put into the world comes back to you, not as a metaphor, not as a spiritual wish, as a law, as consistent, as reliable, and as indifferent to your preferences as the law of gravity. The energy you put into your relationships, your work, your interactions with strangers, your private thoughts about others, all of it is moving outward, touching the world, and beginning its journey back to you. Sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly, sometimes in forms you recognize immediately, and sometimes in forms so transformed that you don't see the connection until years later. This is the law of karma, and today we're going to explore it in depth. Not as a religious belief, not as wishful thinking, but as a principle that can be observed, understood, and consciously worked with to transform your life. This is the Karma Files. Part 1. What the law of karma actually says. The law of karma is one of the most universally recognized principles in human spiritual and philosophical history. It appears in Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism, and Sikhism as a central teaching. It appears in the Abrahamic traditions as the principle of divine justice. You reap what you sow. It appears in indigenous wisdom traditions around the world as the understanding of natural law and balance. It appears in modern physics as the law of conservation of energy. Energy is never created or destroyed, only transformed. At its core, the law of karma says this: every action generates a consequence, not as punishment or reward from an external judge, but as the natural, inevitable result of the energy set in motion by the action. This applies at every level of human experience. It applies to physical actions, what we do. It applies to words, what we say. And it applies to thoughts and intentions, what we hold in our minds and hearts. Because thoughts and intentions are not neutral. They generate energy, and that energy moves. Part 2. The energy of what you give. Let's start with the positive dimension of this law, because karma is not only about consequences for harm, it is equally, and perhaps more powerfully, about the return of good energy. When you give genuinely, when you help someone without expectation of return, when you offer kindness to a stranger, when you invest your time and energy in someone else's growth, you set something in motion. The energy of generosity, of care, of genuine investment in others' well-being. This energy moves through the world and returns to you. Not always from the person you gave to, not always in the form you expected, not always on the timeline you wanted, but it returns. This is why people who are genuinely generous, not performatively generous, not strategically generous, but genuinely generous, tend to live lives that are rich in unexpected support, unexpected opportunities, and unexpected kindness from strangers. They have built a field of generosity around themselves, and they move through a world that reflects that field back at them. The research on this is actually quite robust. Studies on prosocial behavior consistently show that people who regularly engage in acts of genuine generosity report higher levels of happiness, stronger social connections, better physical health, and greater resilience in the face of adversity. The act of giving is not just good for the recipient, it is profoundly good for the giver. This is karma working in real time. The energy of generosity returns to its source, transformed and multiplied. Part 3. The energy of what you withhold. Now let's talk about the other side. The energy of withholding, of hoarding, of taking without giving. There is a pattern that appears consistently in the lives of people who are fundamentally extractive, who take from relationships, from communities, from the world, without genuine reciprocity. Their lives tend to become increasingly impoverished, not necessarily in material terms, but in the things that actually matter. Genuine connection, trust, meaning, joy, because the energy of taking without giving creates a particular kind of emptiness. It is the emptiness of a person who has surrounded themselves with things and people they have acquired, but who has not built genuine bonds with any of them. They have taken, but they have not connected. In connection, genuine, mutual, reciprocal connection is what makes a human life feel full. The person who withholds their care, their presence, their genuine investment in others, eventually finds themselves in a world that withholds from them. Not as punishment, but as the natural result of the field they have created around themselves. You cannot build a life of genuine richness on a foundation of extraction. Part 4, the energy of harm. Now let's talk about the energy of harm, of deliberate cruelty, of betrayal, of actions taken with the intention of causing damage to others. This is where the law of karma is most often invoked and where it is most often misunderstood. People want karma to be a punishment system. They want to see the person who harmed them suffer in proportion to the harm they caused. And while this sometimes happens, it misses the deeper mechanism at work. The energy of harm does not simply return to the person who sent it out as an equivalent harm from outside. It works from within. It works by transforming the person who carries it. Every act of deliberate harm, every lie told with full awareness, every betrayal committed with clear intention, every act of cruelty carried out for personal gain leaves a mark on the person who commits it. Not a visible mark, an internal one, a mark on their relationship with themselves, with others, with the world. People who consistently cause harm develop a particular relationship with reality. They become suspicious because they know what people are capable of. They know what they themselves are capable of. They become isolated because genuine intimacy requires trust, and they have demonstrated to themselves that trust can be betrayed. They become restless because the part of them that knows what they have done is always present, always uncomfortable, always looking for ways to be silenced. This is the karma of harm. Not external punishment, but internal transformation. The person who causes harm becomes, over time, a person who is less capable of joy, less capable of genuine connection, less capable of the things that make a human life worth living. Part 5, the energy of integrity. The most powerful energy you can put into the world is the energy of integrity, of alignment between your values and your actions, between what you believe and what you do. Integrity is not about being perfect. It is not about never making mistakes. It is about being honest when you do, about taking responsibility, about doing the work of repair when you cause harm, about consistently choosing the harder right over the easier wrong. The energy of integrity creates a particular kind of life. It creates a life in which you can be known, truly known by others, because you are the same person in public and in private. It creates a life in which your relationships are built on something real, because the person others are relating to is actually you. It creates a life in which you can trust yourself, because you have demonstrated to yourself over and over that you will do what you say you will do. And it creates a life in which the world tends to meet you with integrity in return. Not always, not perfectly, but with remarkable consistency over time. This is karma at its most beautiful. The energy of integrity returning to its source as a life of genuine richness, genuine connection, and genuine peace. Part 6. Working consciously with the law of karma. Understanding the law of karma is not just about understanding why things happen. It is about using that understanding to consciously shape the life you are creating. Here are the most powerful ways to work consciously with this law. First, audit your energy. What are you putting into the world? In your relationships, are you giving genuinely, or are you taking? In your work, are you contributing something of real value, or are you going through the motions? In your private thoughts, are you holding others in resentment and judgment, or are you genuinely wishing them well? Your energy audit will tell you a great deal about what you can expect to receive. Second, give without keeping score. The moment you start tracking what you've given and what you've received, you have moved from generosity to transaction. And transactions don't generate the same energy as genuine giving. Give because it is who you choose to be. Give because it feels right. Give without attachment to the return. And trust that the return will come in its own form, on its own timeline. Third, take responsibility for the harm you have caused. This is perhaps the most important practice for working with karma consciously. Every one of us has caused harm. To others, to ourselves, to relationships we valued. The question is not whether we have caused harm, but what we do with that knowledge. The person who acknowledges the harm they have caused, who takes genuine responsibility, who does the work of repair where possible, is actively transforming the karmic energy of that harm. They are not erasing it, but they are changing its trajectory. Fourth, release what is not yours to carry. The karma of others is not your responsibility. The harm that others have done is not yours to fix, to avenge, or to carry. Your responsibility is your own energy, your own actions, your own choices. Release the rest. Trust the law to do its work. Fifth, live in alignment with your deepest values. This is the foundation of everything. When your actions are aligned with your values, when you live with integrity, with care, with genuine investment in the well-being of others, you are putting the highest quality energy into the world, and the highest quality energy returns. Part 7, the promise of the law. The law of karma is not a guarantee that your life will be easy. It is not a promise that you will never be hurt, never face injustice, never experience loss. What it is a promise that nothing is wasted. That every act of genuine love, every moment of real courage, every choice made with integrity, all of it matters. All of it is moving through the world, touching lives, creating ripples that extend far beyond what you can see. And all of it is returning to you in ways that are sometimes visible and sometimes invisible, sometimes immediate and sometimes delayed, but always real. The universe is not indifferent. It is not random. It is a system of extraordinary precision and extraordinary patience, and it is responding to you, to the full complexity of who you are and what you put into the world, with perfect consistency. Put good into the world. Not because you will always see the return, not because it will always be easy, but because it is who you choose to be. Because the life built on genuine care, genuine integrity, and genuine love is the only life worth living. Your energy returns to you. Make it worth returning. Subscribe to Karma Files for more stories of justice, healing, and the power of what goes around coming around. We'll see you in the next one. Part 8, the ripple effect of your energy. One of the most humbling aspects of the law of karma is the understanding that your energy doesn't just return to you, it ripples outward in ways you can never fully trace. Every act of kindness you perform touches the person you helped, but it also touches everyone who witnesses it. And it changes something in them, a small shift toward generosity, toward the belief that kindness is real and possible, and they carry that shift with them. And it influences how they treat the next person they encounter, and that person carries it forward. And on in ripples that extend far beyond anything you could have predicted or planned. This is why the law of karma is not just a personal matter, it is a social matter, a civilizational matter. The energy each of us puts into the world is not contained to our individual lives. It spreads, it influences, it shapes the world we all share. This is a profound responsibility and a profound opportunity. Every time you choose kindness over cruelty, integrity over convenience, generosity over hoarding, you are not just making a choice for yourself, you are contributing to the quality of the world. You are adding to the sum of good energy in circulation. You are making it slightly more likely that the next person will choose kindness, integrity, generosity, and every time you choose cruelty, deception, or harm, you are doing the opposite. You are adding to the sum of negative energy. You are making it slightly more likely that the next person will experience harm and carry that harm forward. This is the weight of every choice, not just for your own karma, for the karma of the world. Choose accordingly. Put good into the world. Not because you will always see the return, not because it will always be easy, but because the world you are helping to create is the world you will live in, and the world your children will live in, and their children. Your energy returns to you, and it ripples outward, touching everything. Make it worth returning. Make it worth spreading. Subscribe to Karma Files for more stories of justice, healing, and the power of what goes around coming around. We'll see you in the next one.